Okay, it's time for another CSS battle. Let's see what we've got. Okay. I think we're basically in the realms of just using radial gradients, but there's going to be a few of them. So let's screw that. Let's go like that, and then let's use background radial. Whoa. Radial gradients. That's black. For maybe 20 pixels. And then this color. We also want 1Q. That's going to be too low. So we want to move it 0 that way and minus 20 pixels maybe. Try 40, 30, 30 is perfect. Now then, I don't think we can get it on repeat because I think the distance between those two would mean that we'd get another one up there. Although what we could do is bring in, let's actually use the nested template and do this way. Let's get rid of that background. But before we do that, let's make the margins right. So oh, 56 only 120 is too much. 110, 112. Okay, that's good. And then because we want the bottom to still be in, we're not going to bother setting a top margin, I don't think. So let's do 32. That should get that and that. Okay. Now we set this to a background of the radial gradient. We'll put that first dot back in, so 320 pixels, and then that color 0. We'll use 1Q, then 0 minus 30 pixels. Still lines up beautifully. Great. Let's actually make that into a variable called D, just so that we don't have to repeat this lot. And then we'll use var D. And then we can do another. Let's put this on a new line just so that we can see what we're doing. I want to move that 0 and probably 50 pixels. Okay, where is it? That actually wants to be transparent. That's better. And we'll just change that background to, oops, this color. That's better. Maybe 90. 90 is beautiful. That's got those two. Then we need another one. This time we want to move it that way, so minus 30 pixels. Well, actually, because we want two of them, let's do a 0 first and then a slash, and 50% wide will get me 2, but we don't want 50% wide. How about 60? 70 might be getting close to actually. Let's just work out how wide we want this. So 140 to 260 is 120 pixels. So let's just go 120 pixels. Then let's move it back 60 pixels. Too much. 40, 30, 35. Oh, 120 is too wide. Let's try 110. Is going to be wrong. 115. 115 may well be right. And then just shift them up by 20 pixels. 30. Now, are they too close to each other? I think they are. So let's make that 120. Okay, that will work. And then we want this to be minus 40. Okay, that gets at that, and that. And we have reused that same radial gradient 3 times with 1 repeat. And now all we need is 1 more radial gradient. And we need to do some fun stuff with it. Radial gradients. We start off with transparent, and this is going to want to be a half of this distance, so 240, 200. So let's just go 40 pixels. Then that, we'll call that 40 pixels wide, so 80 pixels. Oh, not that. And then transparent the rest. We'll add a 1Q and we'll add a comma, and that should let us see what's going on. We need a color stop there. Then we want this at 50% 0, which will give us roughly the right, that should give us the right curve. And then we want to move it nothing in the X and 100 pixels down, maybe? 100's too far, let's try 80. 80 looks good. Let's submit that and see how good we got. That is 100% match, so that's nice. Right, can we make any of these slightly better? That would go to 10 VW, that would go to 10 VH. That, however, is going to either be 30. Let's make that 30 VW. 90 pixels would be 30 VH, so that's not going to save us any characters. 40 pixels isn't going to save us anything. 80 isn't going to save us anything. 80 isn't going to save us anything. We could try mixing them to Q values, but that's just playing around with numbers for the sheer hell of playing around with numbers at that point. So let's just minify and submit. Let's see what we've got. That's a reasonable scale. Yeah, that'll do me. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one.